All right, team. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today, we're going to go over the Tim Ferriss Slow Carb Diet. This is something that I am currently experimenting, and it's something that I've tried in the past. And I want to cover some of the rules and hear it from the man himself, and then tell you what I think and tell you what I would change. It's a pretty good diet. I would say it's almost perfect for the general person, but there are some things that I disagree with. So let's get straight into it.
Could you give us just a brief top contour of what the slow carb diet is?
Sure.
Yeah.
The slow carb diet is intended to be a simple, easy to adhere to diet for people who have perhaps failed other diets that allows you to recompose your body. So improve muscle mass, decrease body fat percentage, and the rules are really simple.
Now, it's interesting because recomposing our body is also healthy for us. So as humans, what we find looks good turns out to also be quite healthy for us. So evolutionary speaking, the reason why we like a lean body is because it's ultimately healthier for us. The reason why we like nice looking teeth is because they are ultimately healthier for us and our face. So recomposing your body isn't just about being vain and looking aesthetically better, but it's also much, much healthier for you.
And that's part of what makes it work. It's not ideal for every sport and every circumstance, but broadly speaking, it works for a lot of people who've had trouble with dieting in the past. So rule number one, don't drink calories.
Couldn't agree more. Do not drink calories. Soft drinks, fruit juices, sweetened teas, even zero sugar soft drinks, you need to get rid of the habit of drinking your calories. So black coffee, water, tea, sparkling water. There are many beverages out there that you can have that can give you the same mouth feel without having the additional calories. Now, the other thing, I actually also recommend not drinking protein smoothies if you're trying to lose weight. Drinking protein should only be a thing if you are time poor and you just can't hit your protein targets and you have to have it in a liquid form, but it will not give you the same satiating effect. Having a protein smoothie in the morning versus having, say, steak and eggs or an egg omelet and avocado will not give you the same satiating effect. It won't keep you as full for as long because chewing your food and eating your food has a much higher satiating effect than just drinking your food. So if you're trying to lose weight, I recommend even limiting the protein shakes.
That's it. Very simple. So black coffee, unsweetened tea, great. Juice, out. Anything with calories, out. You could add a little bit of heavy cream to your coffee, let's say, but that's also bending the rules in a way that I don't like. So in the beginning, it's like follow the rules so you can break them later. So in the beginning, let's just say you can't drink calories. Number two, don't eat anything white. Sounds pretty basic, right? Just don't eat anything that is the color of white or that could be white. Basically, that means you're going to be avoiding starches and things that are similar to starches.
Look, I overall agree. Don't eat anything white, so rice, pastas, breads. Most people, the general person, could do a little bit less with a little bit less carbohydrates, or some people a lot less carbohydrates. However, if you're an athlete and you have higher needs, rice is an easy way to get some carbohydrates in a very easy to digest form. So for the general person, however, trying to lose weight, I agree. Try to avoid rice, potatoes, breads, and pastas, and anything white.
That includes things like oatmeal.
That includes things like oatmeal. Yeah. So roughly speaking, just avoiding things that are white or that could be white will get you pretty far. And yes, there are exceptions, like cauliflower, fine. You can have cauliflower. But again, don't get fancy, right? It's very easy to outsmart yourself when it comes to behavioral change. Keep it simple. So
it's very true. So many people try to make behavioral changes and we overthink and we complicate, and our brain just finds reasons and reasons as to why we can't do a certain thing. So don't outsmart yourself. Good advice.
For at least 2 weeks, forget about the exceptions, right? Don't drink calories. Don't eat anything white. And then eat 30 grams of protein within 30 minutes of waking up. Okay.
I like that one. 30 grams of protein within 30 minutes of waking up. There was actually a study from the University of Sydney, I believe, or a university in Sydney. It might have been University of New South Wales as well, where they the subjects or the people who ate 30 grams of protein or a higher protein meal for breakfast ate less calories overall throughout the day. So it was a protein starvation study, basically saying that if you are starved of protein, you will eat higher calories throughout the day. So it's better for weight loss. It gets you started on the right foot. 30 grams of protein within 30 minutes of waking up is a great way to start the day.
And then there are a few buckets you can choose from, right? So you have vegetables, beans and lentils, and then some type of protein. So you're going to come up with meals that you can follow without deviating for a period of 1 or 2 weeks. Just come up with the same meals. And that's going to sound boring, yes, but guess what? You do it already.
It's true. Most of us eat the same foods over and over again. We just need to have better foods and better meals over and over again.
Just might not realize it. And the lentils and the beans specifically as a prereq, we can get into some of the reasons, but add a lot of fiber and also inhibit appetite, right? So that's actually a very important component of these meals. And there may be a handful of other rules, but those are the basics. And then the redemption is take 1 day off per week and just go fucking crazy. That's cheat day. There are some epic cheat days out there. Some I've captured for myself. And anything goes. When I say anything, I do mean anything. So if you want to consume multiple pizzas, pints of ice cream, whatever, indulge.
I personally don't like that. I think that's a silly way to do things. And I think having this idea of being really, really strict and then having a huge cheat day just leads to disordered eating and a poor relationship with food. I think you should find a way to enjoy your food, and your cheat days should be, good food, maybe a little bit more. So when I have a cheat day, which I don't really do, but a meal that I know I can't have too often. I will, for example, be out for dinner and I'll have 1 scoop of a chocolate, what did I have the other day? A chocolate sorbet ice cream. And that will happen once every 3 months. Or maybe on the weekend, we bake a gluten-free or a dairy-free, some type of dessert, and I'll have a little bit more than I should. And that's cheat day for me. But a cheat day like this for a patient who has, say, an autoimmune condition like colitis or Crohn's or rheumatoid arthritis or celiac disease or a thyroid disorder, and they're trying to recover, a cheat day like this once a week where you're eating pizzas and desserts and donuts and all sorts of crap, that's going to set you back weeks. It's going to take you a week, if not 2 weeks, to recover. You'll be getting headaches, digestive distress, and issues. So I think this is a bit silly. I think it leads to disordered eating. I don't agree with having a cheat day where you can have absolutely anything you want. I think that's ridiculous.
I left one out. No fruit during the week. So avoid fruit, avoid fructose. So
I think that's also ridiculous. Most people don't eat enough fruit. Nobody out there is fat because they're eating fruit. I can guarantee you that. In fact, I think most people miss out on the polyphenols and the vitamins and the fiber. I think people should be eating more fruit. I have fruit almost every night as a dessert. That's my dessert. I'll finish dinner and I'll have a peach or a nectarine or some strawberries or some watermelon. And there's absolutely no problem with that. I guarantee you nobody ever got fat from eating an apple.
Agave nectar, anything that is sort of hidden sugar, avoid all that. So no added sweeteners, obviously, but avoid fruit and fructose. And again, it's not going to kill you. Guess what? If you're from European ancestry, your ancestors did not have like blueberries in the middle of winter, generally speaking, right? So you'll be fine for a few weeks. And then there's that cheat day. And cheat day, anything goes. The amount of damage you can do on cheat day is pretty limited. And there are ways you can mitigate that. There's a whole chapter called damage control in the 4-Hour Body. But focusing just on that diet and having 1 day off where you know you can do anything means when you are controlling yourself for those 6 days of the week, you're not giving up your favorite foods forever. You can even keep a list of all the things you want to eat on cheat day. And then you have free license to eat on cheat day. And that provides you with a release valve so that you can build in the cheating as opposed to having it occur as a failure point. And there are a handful of other things there. If you have domino foods in the house, for instance, if you eat a lot of almonds or mixed nuts and you're just going to sit there compulsively eating them while you're sitting at your laptop, don't have what I call domino foods in the house, which are going.
So the reason why he's bringing up almonds and mixed nuts is because they're quite calorie dense. So a gram of fat, and almonds are mostly a source of fat, not protein. People get this wrong. A gram of fat has 9 calories, whereas a gram of protein has about 4 calories. And so you're having double the calories for the same volume of food. So fat, nut butters, peanut butters, almonds, mixed nuts, they're very, very calorie dense, and they can easily ruin your weight loss goals if you're not careful with them. So just be very, very careful.
To really create some portion control issues. But broadly speaking, don't drink calories, don't eat things that are white. Take from 3 categories and build your meals out, and those are the meals that you follow. Do not eat fruit or fructose, and then cheat 1 day a week. And Saturday's a nice day, a cheat day for most folks. And just to answer some questions that people are going to have, no, that doesn't mean 24 hours that you can spread out over 2 days. That will actually set you back. But the amount of fat that you can store in a handful of sittings over 24 hours, which legitimately is more like 12 to 18 hours, pretty limited. So
they're looking at the cheat day, damage from the cheat day, strictly as fat storage. But health is not just about fat; it's about digestive issues. And I think Andrew Huberman will now go into it. When he was having those cheat days, he would fast the next day because he's having all of the digestive distress, and that's just silly, in my opinion.
Slow carb diet.
Great, thank you for that. I also want to ask: is it okay to take the day after cheat day and fast, or do 1 meal that day? When I followed the slow carb diet, I benefited from it tremendously. Lost fat, gained muscle, tons of energy, sleeping great, required less caffeine, all sorts of wonderful things. Stable blood sugar. I felt so good. Really enjoyed the cheat days. I really enjoyed the cheat days. So much fun. At some point, there's some gastric distress that comes from not regulating intake, which led me to not want to eat the next day. So I tended to do the cheat days on Sunday in my case. And then I would fast most of Monday, just water, black coffee, tea. And then I might have a small meal in the evening. And then by Tuesday, I was back on the slow carb diet. Does that seem like a sort of a detrimental deviation from the plan?
I think that if that is what works for you, then that is what works for you. So this is the slow carb diet template.
See, the idea of having such a horrible cheat day to the point where you get diarrhea and you shit yourself, or you get constipation and then you have to not eat the entire next day, that just seems ridiculous to me. I think I think that's disordered eating. I think that's a very poor relationship with food.
But for me, as a starting point, and generally I'll say, I think this is from Picasso, right? It's like, learn the rules as an amateur so you can break them as a professional. But it's like, I recommend most people kind of stick with the format for a handful of weeks and measure the results, right? So there are guidelines for how to measure. The scale is a bit of a blunt instrument, so there are other ways. But if you're extremely overweight, you can just use the scale. And fasting, I think, is fine, or just ratcheting back your caloric consumption significantly. And what happens over time for most people also is, for the first, say, 4 weeks on cheat day, you're going to go completely insane. And I remember I was doing something much stricter called the cyclical ketogenic diet, which is a whole separate thing. It's much more limiting in terms of what you can eat. But I was training for ultimately the nationals in Chinese kickboxing. This was happening in '99. So I was training super hard. I was following a cyclical ketogenic diet, which meant I could eat very few things. But I did have this one cheat day. And I would do a glycogen depletion workout beforehand, which is one of the things you can do to limit the damage on cheat day. Do a glycogen depletion workout beforehand, and then I would just go crazy. I mean, I would drive to like Krispy Kreme, buy 12 donuts, and they would be gone by the time I got home. And it wasn't an hour away. It was like a 10-minute drive.
That's an eating disorder, guys. That is not good. 12 donuts within 10 minutes. If that is the type of diet that you want to follow, where I haven't had a single Krispy Kreme donuts in over a decade. I never have the urge to. I don't have the urge to go and eat pizza. I enjoy my food and I love what I eat, and I don't ever feel like I'm missing out. And that's what you want to achieve.
donuts would be gone, right? I would go to Safeway and I would buy a bag of those fun-sized Snickers, and that would be just a tiny portion of my
sweet
calories.
stuff for you, huh?
A lot of sweet stuff. I also did the savory stuff. I mean, I had my favorites.
Nothing was safe.
Pizza.
Nothing was safe.
Nothing was safe. My paws got into everything. And then over time, because the next day you're going to feel like you got hit by a diabetic dump truck.
Yeah, I just don't have the time to feel that way. I never want to have a day where I feel like I've been hit by a diabetic dump truck. I love my life too much. I've got too many things I want to get done. I want to be productive. I want to be healthy and happy, and I never want to feel that way. So I think that's a bit silly.
You start ratcheting back, and you're like, okay, maybe I don't need to do that. Maybe cheat day will just be 2 meals, or maybe cheat day will just be like the pastries in the morning with the coffee. And you start to regulate a bit, generally. You don't have to, but over time you generally will. And I think after you've followed it to the T, just follow the commandments for say 4 to 8 weeks, then you can certainly deviate. And I'm not saying if you're not hungry, don't eat. However, in many cases, people have acclimated to not eating in the morning, and then they end up overeating later in the day. If you have that habit, right? If you're consuming 50% of your calories or more at dinner and you want to lose body fat, I would say get some cottage cheese or something that will give you 30 grams easily in the morning. Worst case scenario, use a protein of some type. Just don't make it hypercaloric.
You mean powdered protein, like
could be powdered whey protein. Whole food is going to do a lot more.
and no calorie counting, correct?
No calorie counting. Tends to be self-limiting. When you're eating this much fiber and this much protein, it tends to be very self-limiting, what you'll want to consume and what you can consume.
What he means is it's going to be very difficult to eat excess calories when you're eating this much protein and this much fiber. The problem with that much fiber as well, guys, and having chickpeas and lentils and beans as your main source of carbohydrates is for some people that can cause quite a lot of gastric distress. So diarrhea, loose bowel movements, flatulence, bloating. If you're an autoimmune patient, we run quite a lot of food immunity panels or food sensitivity panels, and beans and lentils show up quite often because they're high in lectin. So they can trigger and set off inflammatory conditions in some people. So you've got to be very careful with your intake of lectins and beans and lentils.
Once again, I had great experiences with slow carb diet, and I'm going to go back on.
Yeah, nobody needs to buy anything to figure it out. If you just search on tim.blog, slow carb diet, there you'll get everything that you need to get started. No purchase necessary.
So overall, I agree with some of the rules. Don't drink your calories, 30 grams of protein within 30 minutes of waking up, and no white foods. So cut out the rice, pasta, potatoes, and breads for a period of time. I think those three are great. No fruit. I think that's a bit silly. Nobody ever got fat from eating fruit. Please eat your fruit. And find recipes that you enjoy, and don't do a big cheat day. Don't put yourself in that position. Make sure that the diet that you eat is something that you can enjoy sustainably forever, because health is a marathon, not a sprint. You don't just get there and then stop. You have to continue doing it. And nutrition and food should be a part of your life that you enjoy, that you love, and that nourishes you. Food is your ally, not your enemy. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, share, comment below, like this video. About 90% of the people that watch this video are not subscribers, so I would really appreciate if you do. It will encourage me to make many more of these. Thank you. Over and out.